I'm laughing because this is going to be an incredible show. There are several very big stories, very bigger than you can imagine stories that will be coming out in the next few days. All right, I know it's Thursday, and we'll have the weekend. There are some giant stories. You're not going to believe what's happening. But anyway, let's get to this one. If you're not subscribed or following or whatever it is with this page, sharing with your friends, let everybody know, I wish you would, because it's amazing. All right, I have an apology I need to make in a minute, and I need to show you. Yesterday I did a show, and I told you that, or was it the day before? Panama City. I was talking about Panama City and how the commissioners are alleging fraud against the mayor there, Doc Rowan, and they're alleging that he destroyed a public record that somehow he also simultaneously submitted. But it was all about a public record, all right? The document in question in Panama City is not a public record. Now, the city attorney there, Nevin Zimmerman, knows this or should know this. And the fact that he calls it a public record is, in my opinion, a bar violation, and he is walking on thin ice. This is him, and he thinks he's safe because...
you know what? Maybe there's...
Because the Kingmaker is also a lawyer, and the Kingmaker, I believe... Here he is. It is... I think is guiding these people. So that's Nevin Zimmerman on the left with his hands in his pocket. He's the city attorney who is giving bad legal advice on purpose, or he's a city attorney that does not know what a public record is. How the hell do I know what a public record is? But he doesn't know what a public record is. By the way, that picture right there, that's the intermission of Tuesday's Panama City meeting. Right, that's Josh Street. That's Josh Street, the guy that I don't know if he outed himself with his little fetish or whatever it is, but that's Josh Street, who's leading the conspiracy to interfere with the election. Okay, that's him. And right behind him, you see that door? Right behind him, State Representative Griff Griffiths, during the break, was there. And he's told Jerry Jones, the city manager, hey, tell Doc Rowan to come back here. So Doc Rowan goes back there, the mayor. And behind that door right now, right there in that picture, Representative Griff Griffiths threatened in a very gruff and aggressive manner Mayor Doc Rowan. Right there, in that, right behind, all that stuff's happening in that picture. This is who I'm talking about, by the way. Now, if you're following the story, they're accusing Doc Rowan of all kinds of petty, ridiculous BS, and it all hinges on whether something is a public record, and it's clearly not. I'll prove that to you. I'll show it to you in the Sunshine Man. All that stuff another day, very soon. But the mayor rightfully was looking at these people like, "What the hell is going on here? What are you guys talking about? This is so bad. Why don't you just spank me and get it over with?" To which Josh Street, right there, that's Josh Street up there. Yeah, I bet you'd like that, man. So anyway, there he is. That's Josh. This is Spank Fest. And I recommend that the Panama City Beach mayor, who's also the concert promoter, Mayor Mark Moneymover Sheldon, I got an idea. As long as they're going through with this act, with this play, with this theater, where they all have a role, and they're all making wild accusations. What I'm telling you is, this is a conspiracy to interfere with elections. This is a conspiracy. These are federal crimes. This is a conspiracy to defraud the public of honest services. And a lot of them are doing it with wire fraud. That is to say, text messaging. All right, but that's Spank Fest, and I recommend that they get, as long as they're going to go through with this theater, this act, this play, and they all have a role, have Mayor Mark Sheldon promote it, right? It could be Spank Coast Jam instead of Gulf Coast Jam. Spank Coast Jam. That's him. And that's Representative Griffiths behind him. He's the one that threatened Mayor Rowan after the spanking comments. It's unbelievable, these people. And that's Griff. That's Representative Griffiths. And that's the scumbag. That's all of their campaign manager there with the VIP pass and Spank Fest. That's Arthur Cullen. But these are the players involved in the conspiracy to defraud the city of Honest Services. And I might as well tell you now, I do have an apology to make. And if I'm wrong, I tell you I'm wrong. And it's to the city administrator in Mexico Beach. It's to Chris Hubbard. I have not been really giving him the attention he deserves. And so today he acted out like if you have kids, you got a bad kid, right? And you're giving the other kids all your attention, having a good time with all the other kids. And what's the bad kid do? He acts out. Why? Because you haven't been giving him the attention he deserves. And I feel very much this way with Chris Hubbard. And Chris Hubbard's not happy, I don't think, that I've been spending my time in Panama City, in Lynn Haven, in Panama City Beach. And so Chris Hubbard is acting out, and he has gotten my attention again with an official document. This actually is an official document that was posted on the Mexico Beach. That's an official document. You say, Bernie, it's a Facebook post. That is actually a public record. That's an official document. And in the official document, Mexico Beach calls citizens clowns. That is your name now. And Chris Hubbard here, who says, you better stop, if you're not going to put me in the picture, you better at least talk about me. Okay, Chris, I'm sorry. I've not been giving you the attention you deserve, and I mean that. But I'm going to give it to you tonight. You're going to get all my attention tonight from here on out. So let's get to it. Important point, though. What they're talking about in Panama City is not a public record. This actually is a public record that I'm going to show you tonight. Before I show you this and before I get to this, I do want to remind you, speaking of Mayor Mark Sheldon, about what he's up to. The mayor's also the concert promoter, and he is trying to spend taxpayer money to benefit his concerts. Mayor Mark Sheldon is pushing for a $10 million pedestrian bridge to connect Frank Brown Park to Aaron Besant Park. It's great for music festivals. It's the city's #1 priority this year. They've got a bunch of projects, and they plan to spend $236 million. 2 years ago, the budget for the city was only $42 million. That's why locals are paying so much more in assessments to the city. Mayor Sheldon says it's worth it. After all, he owns Gulf Coast Jam. The city's #1 priority will benefit his music festivals. He wants more state and federal grant money as a slush fund.
These are significant projects that will make a huge difference in our community. The first is to pursue any available state aid for the planning, design, and environmental studies related to a pedestrian bridge connecting Aaron Besant Park and Frank Brown Park. This walkover would link these two public parks and provide a safer avenue for our residents.
It's just about safety is all. All right, so this is the official document from Mexico Beach. Here's what it says, if it's too small. All right, this was posted yesterday on the official city page. And it says, good morning, all. This is written by the way, the city administrator there, Chris Hubbard. There he is again. Now, the city's being sued because they are breaking the law, and they're not following the city charter, and they're 2 years behind on their fiscal audits. But Chris Hubbard thinks it's a joke. And he might have good reason to, actually, because he's been in this position before. He's been... he's gotten in a lot of trouble as a city manager previously under Al Cathy. And I'll show you what I mean. This is normal behavior from Chris. And I understand needing a lot of attention. I relate to the guy. Chris Hubbard right now is probably my favorite official in all of Bay County. I mean, you rarely see somebody with this much personality and willing to, call citizens clowns. Look, I'll show you. Here we go. Good morning, all, says Chris. And it's another beautiful day in Mexico Beach. Remember, and I'm going to show you, they had a meeting two nights ago. And people from outside Mexico Beach attended and had public comments. Because remember, Mexico Beach, which was leveled after Hurricane Michael, they got $100 million more than that in FEMA money, in our money, of our money. Homeland Security oversees FEMA money. I mean, it's their jurisdiction. And Mexico Beach got a bunch of our money, and so people want to go there and find out where did it go exactly. And what did the contractors submit as invoices? We'll get to that in a minute. You're not going to believe some stuff. But so after the meeting, Chris Hubbard posted this because he doesn't like people who don't live inside Mexico Beach coming and making public comments, okay? He said, after the large number of, and clown is an acronym now, complainers leveling outlandish wholesale nonsense, all right, that's clown, at last night's meeting, who neither live in Mexico Beach nor have ever requested any facts or documentation from City Hall regarding FEMA funding or anything else, I figured it was a good morning for a little more transparency. Now, remember, okay, remember the city is under a lawsuit. There is an evidentiary hearing by Mayor Miller. It's not a lawsuit in the typical sense you think of a lawsuit. It's a lawsuit asking a judge to stop them from breaking the law and to force them to follow the law, the city charter. That's what this is all about. And during this time, the city administrator, with full support of the Three Stooges, is explaining everything. He's making detailed posts about the very subject of the lawsuit. And it's one thing to do it on Facebook and in a meeting and all that, but it's another thing to do it in an evidentiary hearing. So at least to Chris Hubbard's credit, again, at least he's willing to talk. And I did call him and texted him today. I didn't get a text back from him, but and I'm being serious about this right now. Okay, this is Chris. Chris is right about one thing. I've gotten documents from the city. Okay, I've got a lot of stuff. So believe me, I'm not doing this willy-nilly. But he is right that I have not called him and gone to see him and had him show me everything. And I mean it. I'm being serious right now. So I'm going to do that. All right? Not many officials will do this. Most of them will, won't take your call or whatever. But to his credit, he will. And I'm not joking about that. So I will be doing that. Now, here's the thing. And I'll even give Chris a heads up. I'm not trying to blindside him. Chris Hubbard, when he explains exactly how the city dealt with the $100 million in FEMA money, all right, when he explains it, the problem he has, and it's a big one, is he's starting the story in the middle. He's saying, look, we submitted requests for FEMA reimbursements, and those requests went through all kinds of layers of scrutiny, from city scrutiny to third-party scrutiny to state scrutiny, maybe even federal scrutiny. But it went all the way up the chain, man. And the only way that there could be fraud is if all of those agencies acted together to commit fraud for the benefit of just a few people. And that obviously is ridiculous, right? Here's what's really ridiculous is, first of all, he shifts the conversation. Nobody says that there was absolutely FEMA fraud, but there are major questions that are not being answered and are being hidden. Here's how he starts the story in the middle. He's not starting it with the contractors, okay? The contractors submit invoices. This is how FEMA fraud happens. The contractors claim that they have more workers than they have, that they, not all the time, but when there is fraud, this is how it happens, okay? I'm not saying it happened, but I'm from Missouri. You got to show me. I want to see the invoice. So he's starting after that. I want to know which contractors submitted the invoices to the city, which contractors did the work for debris pickup, $49 million worth. How many workers did they have? How many hours did they work? How much did they haul? Where did they haul it? How long did it go on? These are the things you need to see. Those are the invoices we want to see. We don't want to start after that. And to anybody who thinks that it is impossible because of all the levels of scrutiny, that's Adrian Welly's argument as well, the councilman. They're making this argument at the very time 2 people are in prison from Bay County and from Lynn Haven for doing this very thing. So it's absurdity on crack to say that it's not possible unless all the agencies conspire together. That's only if you start the story in the middle, Chris. And I don't know if Chris is smart enough to know that, but I think he is. I think he is. All right, let's get back to this official document from Mexico Beach, though. Now, I got to say, there are many people in Mexico Beach, good people, who look at these things in terms of personalities, right? I don't like her. I do like him. That's not how I look at this stuff. I look at this stuff from a public trust standpoint and from a document standpoint, okay? So I like Chris, actually. I think he'd be a hell of a fun guy to hang out with. But he's not telling the whole story. Now, look at this. The link below, I was going to say there's a lot of good people in Mexico Beach who are tired of the drama, and understandably so. And when they see this official document, it sounds like he's being transparent. But I'm going to tell you why it's not, okay? So give me a chance, because I mean this now. I have not done as good a job as I could have done. And I'm going to try to fix this, because I've talked to some good people in Mexico Beach. And I understand why they feel the way they do. I mean, now there's some people who are not acting in good faith, but I think a lot of people are there. And they don't like this drama. And it looks like Chris is being transparent, and outsiders are attacking their guy. I'm not attacking your guy. But give me a chance to show you why I'm so interested in this. Fair? Okay. The link below, and there's a link below this if you go to the Mexico Beach government Facebook page, will take you to an Excel spreadsheet, a report put together after the invoices, okay? So we're starting the story in the middle, showing all the various FEMA projects from Hurricane Michael, the funding amounts, all right? Again, starting the story in the middle, that the city received from the federal and state sources for each project and their current status. This spreadsheet comes directly from the Florida Public Assistance website. Look, that's an official site. It's not something we control. And if you're interested in any or all of them, we can provide you all the documentation for those projects. Also, please understand that when these clowns claim fraud has been committed locally with these FEMA funds, Mexico, in order to do that, all these people would have to work together. Mexico Beach employees, the city's auditors, several consultants, their non-local employee accountants that review and approve the consultants' work, Florida Public Assistance, FEMA employees, they would all, every one of them, have to conspire, coordinate, and cover up their efforts to, I assume, based on the accusations I hear, enrich a few people locally. I can assure you that's not and has never occurred. Do you see what I'm saying? Nowhere in there does he say, let's start with the contractors and the invoices they submitted, how many workers they had, how many hours they worked, how much they got paid, how much debris was hauled away, what kind of debris was hauled away, where was it hauled away. Okay? That's what needs to be seen. That's what happened in Lynn Haven when contractors did steal from the city. But as Mexico Beach, please listen to me now. when about 2 weeks ago, your FEMA consultant, Ryan, with Atkinson, he's the FEMA consultant for the city. He said $49 million went to debris cleanup. And Adrian Welly said, explain all the levels, all of the different levels of scrutiny that they go through when we submit them. And he did. Ryan did that. But then Ryan also said the truth. Your FEMA consultant said, well, when we get the invoices from the contractors, and then he giggled. And he said, well, I guess we just have to trust those. Ding, ding, ding. We want to start the story from the beginning, Chris. So when I call you and you answer and we meet, and I'm looking forward to it, that's really what I want to see. So if you can dig those up. All right. Let's continue with the clown post from the city. So please don't be a clown, says Chris Hubbard, okay? Don't be a clown. And don't be like the clowns either, okay? Who neither live nor own property in Mexico Beach, but attend our meetings and complain about our beautiful city. Sounds so much like Mike Thomas there, the former mayor of Panama City Beach. If a clown approaches you, here's what you're supposed to do, all right? According to the City of Mexico Beach official document, if a clown approaches you, feel free to refer them to me, says Chris Hubbard. So I can provide them with the correct information. And lastly, not to sound like a broken record, but if you have any questions or anything on documents concerning anything the city does or hasn't done, it's all public record, and it's all available to you at City Hall. All right, so that's the post. Now I want to show you something. What he's saying is citizens, the public, are clowns if you attend the meetings, ask questions, and make public comments if you don't live within the city limits. Now, if it's up to them, they would pass an ordinance that only people living in the city can attend the meetings. But that's not the law. And that's what this is all about. It's not about, do I like Michelle Miller or do I like Chris Hubbard? It's not about, do I wish that the meetings were just us? It's a small, sleepy, beautiful town, really, and deserves to be repaired. Let us do our business. There's a lot of good people who feel that way. And I understand that. People acting in good faith, I get that. But the whole question for me is, we got to follow the law, not what we like or who we like or what we think things should be like. City council meetings are open to the public, not just the residents of the city. Let me show you. And what we want, or what I want, is for Mexico Beach officials to start following the law, stop trying to flout the law, and stop suggesting that we ought to, that it's even possible, because it's not. Look, this is something I refer you to. This is the Florida Sunshine Manual. This is the law now. And you can just type it up, Florida Sunshine Manual. And this is page, well, you can search for it. It's exclusion of certain members of the public. Just search for that. The term open to the public, as used in the Sunshine Law, means open to all persons who choose to attend. And then it has case law. Thus, the court, in another case law decision, ruled that a procurement committee, okay, that really doesn't apply. Really, the only part that applies is that top part, so I can save us some time. All right? It's open to the public. It's not just open to residents. Let me show you the actual meeting itself now. And that's the Florida Sunshine Manual. You can learn a lot from that. Again, what I'm asking for is that officials follow the law, follow the charter, follow the state statute, follow the Constitution. Now, that's something that old Iron Fist Wolf, the vice mayor, Richard Wolf, that's something he doesn't like. And we've seen that before. And I might as well tell you before this about Chris Hubbard, who I just talked about. This is not the first time. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. This is not the first time Chris Hubbard has gotten in trouble for a Facebook post. And he hasn't gotten in trouble for this. Not that I know of. But he has gotten in trouble when he was the city administrator about 10 years ago under Al Cathy. You want to see the news story about that? All right, I'll show you the news story about that right after this.
Have you received a speeding ticket for which you want no points placed onto your driving record? I'm El Saline, 850-215-0628. Let me help you.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777. Let's take a look at when Chris Hubbard got in trouble more than a decade ago when he used to be the city manager back then. Here we go. Holy Nikes. Look at this. All right, Panama City News Herald. This is dated October 9, 2012. He was the city administrator then. Mexico Beach official reprimanded over online posts. Oh, what the hell just happened? Something went wrong with displaying the webpage. Oh, man. All right, I think I got it back up. Here, let me try to get this back up. I'll give you the name of the article so you can search it yourself too. Well, you'll see it right now. All right, let's see if this see if this stays up this time. Stop. All right, this is dated October 9, 2012. Mexico Beach official reprimanded over online post. News Herald story. For a man whose job was theoretically on the line, he used to get in trouble as the city manager back in the day. All right, and now he's some people are just, it's just the way they are. I kind of like that about Chris. He is who he is, and he didn't try to pretend to be anybody else. Kind of like Mike Thomas, and I respected that about Mike Thomas. For a man whose job was theoretically on the line, Mexico Beach City Administrator Chris Hubbard didn't seem nervous when he addressed the city council during a special meeting Tuesday. Before the council voted 3-2 to add a written reprimand to his file for inflammatory Facebook posts, Hubbard was confident enough to joke about the rumors sweeping this sleepy beach community. He told the standing room only crowd that he wished just 10% of the rumors were true because I'd be living a great life right now. So people had always thought he was corrupt. I don't know if he is or not. I do not know. I just know that they're breaking the law. They're not following the charter. They're violating it. Aside from rumors that Hubbard administered a Facebook page called Guerrilla Patriot, which he admitted to, there was speculation during Tuesday's meeting about Hubbard's relationship with another city employee, who now, by the way, is his girlfriend and the former city accountant who they still hire on a contract basis. So the people with the keys to the finances that are blocking the mayor, she's mentioned there. Speculation during Tuesday's meeting about, that's a long time ago, and I want them to be happy. I want Chris and Debbie to be happy together. I just don't want them to be the only two people with the keys to the finances. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not crazy, right? This is a wild story. Why isn't WMEB telling anybody about this? All right, so that turned out to be true, and they're happy now. His prior work experience with now defunct Cedar Grove and his arrest record, all right? But that doesn't slow Chris down, and you got to respect that. His prior work experience, oh yeah. He was once arrested on suspicion of battering his then-girlfriend. We're not talking about Debbie. We're talking about... He was arrested... But I don't, like oftentimes here, right? He wasn't convicted. I think they dropped it even. All right, so he's got a little bit of a checkered past, but who doesn't? But he called it a misunderstanding is all and pointed out that the charges were dropped. And he wants you to know, this is the key thing about Chris Hubbard. I'm not a woman abuser. As for the Facebook page, he agreed that most of the posts reflected a conservative perspective and he was merely exercising his right to free speech. I agree with that, actually. Councilwoman Tanya Castro said the post could be considered offensive from a racial and religious point of view. She was disappointed the council only reprimanded him. All right, so let's see here. I think the council should have taken stronger action, said then Councilwoman Castro. We just tonight sent a strong message to our employees that it's really okay. Now, Chris Hubbard, of course, never one to give in to the criticism. He poked right back. He said he accused the people who spoke in favor of his termination of character assassination. All right, you guys are just trying to destroy my good name. He said after the meeting that the Facebook page is still active, but he planned to take it down. And the contents of the page were not public. He took them down. Now, Hubbard was not without his supporters, just like now, those who spoke positively about his job performance and received applause. Mayor Al Cathy instructed a police officer. Now, I want you to hear this. You know how when the Mexico Beach, when it gets rowdy and Mayor Miller asks the sheriff's office, because that's where the sergeant of arms of the meeting, she's in charge of the meeting, and every meeting I've ever been to, if somebody's out of line, the mayor can say, let's please have this person removed. Well, the sheriff's office wasn't doing that. But they always do it every other time. Look, Mayor Al Cathy instructed a police officer. That was back when they had the police. Now it's the sheriff's office. But the point is, the chairman of the meeting can do this. Instructed. The mayor can instruct the sergeant at arms. Did you know that? Ask Tommy Ford. Ask the sheriff if he knows. In attendance to remove a woman who asked the council if they were aware of Hubbard's arrest record when he was hired. Seems like a reasonable question, considering that's the question at issue during. That's what they're talking about in the meeting, is his character and his Facebook post, and if he's if he's violating policy of how you represent the city, that kind of stuff. That seems like a fair question. She just asked if they were you guys aware of this when you hired him? Get her out of here. Get this broad out of here, said Al Cathy. And everyone agreed that the mayor had the authority to do that. Cathy said Hubbard's arrest record was not relevant to the discussion, and the woman was returned to her seat where she belongs. And give her an apron, too, Al said. See, Thompson? Misinformation. That's a joke. She declined to give her name after the meeting, but said she was not surprised when Cathy silenced her because I raised issues they didn't want to talk about. Cathy said Hubbard's actions reflected poorly on Mexico Beach, and he was absolutely disappointed, but they didn't want to terminate him. Al Cathy, the mayor at the time, said, it's my opinion that the city administrator cast the city in a bad light. Did he do that again today, Chris Hubbard? Or yesterday with his official post calling citizens clowns? Well, we'll see. But it's not something he deserves to be let go over, said Al. Voting with Cathy in support of the reprimand were Robert Pollock and Jack Mullen. They said, you've been a bad boy, and head straight to the principal's office. No, they're not Panama City. They're Mexico Beach. They don't do that kind of thing. They're more of a sleepy town. The closer you get to the beach, the more you find that kind of stuff. Voting with Cathy in support. Okay, I told you. Castro voted against it, as did Lanny Howell, who said he felt the reprimand went too far. So Castro voted against it because she thought he ought to be fired, and Lanny Howell said, what's the big deal? All right, so not the first time that our guy Chris Hubbard has. I mean, look, man, I say what I want. That's why Chris Hubbard is my favorite official in Bay County. Chris, I texted you today and I called you. You might be traveling, it might be out of range, but when you get a chance, hit me up and I'll have you show me all the stuff that answers my questions so that I can focus again on Panama City and Panama City Beach and all that stuff, all right? Let's take a look at the meeting itself. This happened 2 nights ago. All right, let's get right to it. So the meeting begins with Iron Fist Wolf, the vice mayor, the one who smacks the desk and yells at the women all the time. Damn, he can't. These broads are mouthy around here, aren't they, Rich? He's the one that couldn't believe that the press could record. Remember, he said the press could just come in. Remember that guy? This is Richard Wolf. And here's what he had to say to start the meeting off. All right, get to it. All right, Vice Mayor Wolf, you got any comments before the meeting starts?
I take some consideration to realize that there's a lot on the agenda, and if there's a lot on the agenda, we need to get to discussing it. So on the citizens' comments, if people from outside the city would maybe email the council people instead of getting up here and speaking, that'd be great. And then allow just our citizens and our property owners to speak during comments would be great. Eliminate some time.
Anything else? Is that it? Okay, so we'll move to the citizens' comments. Please be sure to step up to the podium. I need you to state your name and your full address, and you're limited to 3 minutes.
All right, so
And if you just raise your hand, let me point you out as we go.
let's
Yes, ma'am.
see if these outsiders listen to Iron Fist. All right, so I'm gonna be
Lisa Logan,
scrolling
Maryland Boulevard. I know
forward
we're
here.
supposed
All
to
right,
talk
we're gonna
about
go to the
what's on the
7-minute
agenda,
35.
But we have a one, and
All right, so this is the second speaker. Now, this speaker is not from Mexico Beach, and a few of them are very annoyed that a member of the public would come up here and lecture them. Now, this gets really interesting, all right? You ready to see this? So what's going to happen here is Adrian Welly, who's sitting up there by Richard Wolf, and between Wolf and Mayor Miller in that what color is that, teal shirt? He's going to demand, he wants her address, all right? It's doxing time around this place. We need your actual address, lady, and you don't have to give it. Now, cities will tell you do, and they might make you sit down, and you better, or you'll get arrested sometimes. But you can sue them for that and win, because you are not required by law. Look in the sunshine, man. You look at the state statute. It's not what you want it to be like, right? I want them to follow the law. That's why I'm doing this. So she's not required to do it. But Adrian Welly is going to make a stink about it. We need to know your address. How about you all, on your nameplates, how about you all put your addresses? That's what we need for the public, for the record. Okay, watch this. This is crazy.
Your name, please.
Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe.
Full address, he says.
I don't like giving my full address, and according to Florida Sunshine, you don't have to give your full
Right.
address. So, at the last meeting, there was
All right, so she goes on, and I got a few things to show you, so I'm going to speed through this. She had some important things to say. She lives down the road, I believe, in Port St. Joe, and had some things that she was pointing out. One thing she pointed out is, you see the guy on the left between the two ladies at the table? That's Clint McCahill. That's their city attorney, who also is violating attorney ethics. Bar complaint should be filed against him. He's been giving conflicting legal analysis from the city's previous legal analysis. Now, again, if you live in Mexico Beach and you don't like outsiders, I understand. But he did give a fakakta legal opinion, like a 2-pager, with citing no case law, that completely contradicts your official 7 or 8 page legal opinion. So when she finishes up, she makes the point that old Clint McCahill, the city attorney, who, by the way, okay, you heard this, right? The city administrator had been arrested for being accused of, I guess, domestic violence or whatever out on the town against his ex-girlfriend. The charges were dropped. Clint McCahill, though, more recently, the attorney more recently was arrested for battery and felony burglary in 2018. He got in a fight. He's got a mugshot with a big gash on his head. Is that wild or is that crazy? Those charges, again, were dropped. There is a police report. There's video. But Clint McCahill's he gets hot-headed, and he's a big, tough guy. Look at him. If it was up to Clint, he'd be throwing people around about now, right, Clint? But, so anyway, let's get to, she makes the point that he's also the attorney in Port St. Joe. Well, Clint here's the attorney in Port St. Joe. And then she gives some documents. Look, she's given some documents to them. Now, this cracks me up, this part. She gives some documents to them. Look, Clint's, look at him side-eyeing her. Do you see that? Clint. Oh, my God. This is good. These broads on Clint. So he's really tickling aside. So she's going to give some documents out after she says you got the same attorney Port St. Joe has, and there might be a connection or something. Now, there's a lady on the left who's going to lightly clap her hands. You see to the mayor's right, you see Jerry Bad Liability Smith sitting there. If you wonder why I called Jerry Smith Bad Liability Smith, it's because he made this comment when he didn't like what the mayor was. He doesn't think the mayor should get access to the full records because it'd be a bad liability.
And it's a very much a liability, bad liability.
So that's Jerry Bad Liability Smith. He's about to ask the lady on the other side there, what's so good about that? Why are you clapping? Because she said about it. So watch this. Watch this.
On that, and we're still following up on it. I guess that would be fine if a sports complex belonged in a residential neighborhood that is a drainage basin. And I have the maps for that. I guess it would be fine that residential neighborly driven canal.
All right, she's going
So
to, here she is.
I'm
Okay.
going to leave all this information with your, but again, you have the same attorney we have.
Oh, Clint's pissed.
Isn't that interesting?
Now watch the lady clap to the left. And then watch Jerry Smith.
What was so good about that?
Jerry Smith said, what was so good about that? Jerry, these ladies, man, it was so good. Jerry Smith's a comedian. I don't know him, but I'm telling you, this guy has an amazing sense of humor, or else he's just naturally funny as all get out. What's so good about that? I've never seen it. I've never seen a city council quite like Mexico Beach. I really haven't. All right, now we're going to get to, let's see. Okay, a young man, a young man's going to come up and ask for Mayor Miller to be recalled, and he's going to announce the recall petition. I think he's coming up here next. So let's take a look at this strapping young man here.
101 South 33rd Street. A lot of us are obviously active on social media and Facebook, and I just wanted to get a response from you on...
What's your name, sir? I'm sorry.
Carter Gorsh.
Carter, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What was posted yesterday. I mean, obviously, that shows that it was an email going to you showing what you have access to, and it looks like you have access to everything. So you're claiming that you don't have access to it. What do you have to say about that? There's no denying an email.
Okay, so I guess there's an email that claims that she has full access to the records. And again, I'm going to say this a little differently than I've been saying it because a lot of good people in Mexico Beach believe this. She has no, she doesn't have full. She has read-only access to a lot of the documents, but not to all of the documents. Somebody else has full access to all the documents. And it's this person, Chris Hubbard, and his girlfriend. They all claim it's a bad liability if the CFO of the city, according to the charter, if she has full access and she gives out the level of access to the city's financial records. But their argument is that Chris should have full access to the records and he should give her only what he thinks she should have. Okay? So I guess he's saying, I've given you full access, which on its face is the point of the lawsuit. It's absurd. He doesn't have the authority over her as the CFO of the city. That's unbelievable. And so she's going to let this play out in court. She's just going to kind of look at the young fella, which is exactly the right thing to do, because there's an evidentiary hearing coming up, scheduled, I believe, for January. That's where you let this play out. But in the meantime, the good people in Mexico Beach who are upset about all of this drama, and I get it, understand that Chris Hubbard does not have the authority the city administrator does not have the authority to tell the CFO how much access she has. That's her authority to give him. And it was Al Cathy's authority then. All right, that's the point here. That's a major point here. So she's gonna do exactly the right thing and listen to him, give him respect, and we'll settle. We'll figure it out in court. He asked a question, and he's waiting for an answer.
Is that what you have to say?
That's what I have to say, sir.
All right. And then I would like to let everyone know, if they're interested in signing a petition to recall the mayor, there will be a meeting at Sunset Park on Thursday, 2 to 5. Thank you.
So what is interesting about this is, and I don't know how they plan to do this. I think they'll get enough. They only need to get 10% of the signatures, and they had less than 600 voters, right? And then there's another round where you have to get 15% of the signatures, and then it goes on a referendum for the citizens to vote on it. But you don't get to do that just because you don't like the style of somebody who's elected. She would have had to commit one of 7 offenses. And I don't know how I don't know how that box gets checked, because she hasn't done it. She hasn't broken the law. They are. Boy, I'm glad she has filed this writ of mandamus and this injunction so that, so that at least it has legal scrutiny and this stuff, this kind of like steamrolling doesn't just happen. All right, now I want to show you, oh boy. Oh, Iron Fist again. We got to cut to Iron Fist, Richard Wolff. I'm going to cue this up to Richard Wolff because he's got an answer for Jody with the Beacon of Bay County. Yes, she drove all the way out there, and she didn't listen to us. She went up there and had some questions, and Richard Wolff had a tough question back at her. A really good, tough question Richard Wolff had. All right, I'm going to cue that up, and I'll show it to you in just a moment.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, so here's Jody with Beacon of Bay County. She's talking to them, and the Vice Mayor, Richard Iron Fist Wolff. I don't even know where this question comes from. She's saying that the CFO needs to have full access to all the records, not just be given whatever Chris Hubbard decides she gets to have. Okay? And that prompts, remember, they all have to comply with Discover in this lawsuit. And so Richard Wolff's point, somebody help me understand why he would even ask this question. He's going to say, I got a question for you, lady, since you're up here flapping your gums. when we asked you not to. If you were being sued, would you turn over your financial records? Would you give them your bank records? What is he talking about? Why does he ask that question? Is it because he maybe had to in Discovery? I don't understand this. But I guess Richard Wolff doesn't understand that if you get sued or if you sue somebody, very oftentimes your bank records get subpoenaed depending on the nature of the lawsuit. So, yeah, you don't get a choice on this, Vice Mayor Wolff. I don't understand. Watch this.
The chief financial officer working in concert for the finances of the city. And there's someone here who's not allowing that to take place. So those are just a few comments. I'm glad to see that there's no turmoil tonight, at least not before I got here, not as long when I got here. I think that this will all be handled in the courts at this point. So thank you for your time.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
I have a question. Not a question. But,
Yes, sir.
If you were gonna, somebody was suing you, and they asked for your bank account numbers, everything else, would you?
The only if you want me to respond to that,
would you give it to them? That's all I'm asking.
She's suing because she, according to your charter of your city, she is
Correct.
the
Would you
chief
give that
financial
person
officer.
May I
access to
call
your bank
back
account?
to the citizens' comments, back to the agenda, please?
Can I respond to that?
That's up to the vote of the council. Do y'all want to extend her time?
Yes. Okay, like I said, I'll be happy to
Extend your
respond
time?
to that.
Okay.
The lawsuit wouldn't be happening if you were following the law and following the charter in the first
I'm not
place.
talking about those.
So I'm talking about what happened before. Maybe now you're saying you're not going to give that to her. That seems like that's a pretty convenient thing
She
to
has
happen.
the same access that was asked and voted for.
Is it full? Is it full access?
For one vote.
Is it full
It's
access?
full access.
It's read-only according to
Yes.
your
Yes.
accountant.
She's not allowed to edit. Correct.
Who is allowed to edit? You want to know? Who could write on it right now? They're 2 years late on an audit. And this is the guy who can edit the financial records. He has write access. He has read and write access. He decides who gets what. That is not the way the charter works. You don't believe me? Again, I don't want to argue and fight and fuss. Look, this is the charter. The mayor shall be the chief elected administrative and fiscal official for the city. Fiscal official. Chief Fiscal Official, CFO. You see that? The CFO is not this dude. Why is he and his girlfriend, why are they the ones with full access? Read and write. They just made it seem like, of course you can't, we don't have authority to write in it. No, you don't, but the chief fiscal official of the city does. Look, Richard Wolff. If the feds come knocking and they are all around you, and somebody is, and maybe this is why you all are doing this. Maybe you all know this, and but if somebody's going to be held accountable because the city's late on audits, not exactly sure what the contractors submitted in their invoices, which is the beginning of the story, the CFO is the one who's going to be held accountable. Right? The buck stops with the CFO. Who's in charge of the finances? What do you think they're all going to say? Well, the charter says she's the CFO of the city. Maybe that's the point of this all. And if you're a Mexico Beach resident who disagrees, I'm only asking you to reconsider that however you want it to work, whoever you like better, that's not the issue. The issue is, what does the law say? And the city charter is the top law of the city.
Okay, so you're saying she could look at any record.
She has.
She
Has.
can
There's
look at
documentation that she has.
The confusion here is that they can all look at any report. A report, not the actual invoices of how many employees the contractors used, how much they paid per hour, how many loads they hauled. That, the very beginning from the contractors, that's what needs to be seen. So that's an important part. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to fight with you. I care about you in Mexico Beach. I do. Even if we disagree, I do. What's important is that the law is followed and that everybody sees what the contractors did.
The point is, looking at something that she's allowed to have by the city administrator whose contract has not even been signed.
But he was voted in 3-1.
His contract.
You can't vote. Your vote doesn't supersede the charter. The charter created your position. But all right, that's all I'm going to show you. The frustrating thing to me is that you get people on city councils and good people who support them who are in government roles, but they don't understand government. You said, Bernie, what do you know about it? A lot. I don't know a lot about much. Like, don't ever call me to fix your car or even to. I'm not if you need handyman work and that, I'm not good at that stuff. I'm bad at it. I'm bad at most things, honestly. But I mean, I'm formally trained about government. I've got a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in journalism. I've read all the books, all of them. I understand political philosophy. I know how this stuff works. Wow. Do you guys see a thumb right there? Homeland Security, just that was probably Homeland Security saying that I never know where they are. Was that a thumbs? Homeland Security I think just said I'm doing good. Thanks, guys. I know they're watching. I'm just telling you. Because they're always watching. They're watching you right now. Anyway, I mean, I really study this stuff. I understand. It's something I've really studied for like 25 years. And it's frustrating to see people who just don't understand that you can't vote. If your vote violates the charter, it's null and void. If the city charter violates state statute, it's null and void. These are called the rules of construction. And this whole lawsuit is not about who you like more. It's not about how the meetings should be run in a way that makes you happier. It's about you got to follow the law. And when we don't see the financial records from the beginning, not in the middle of the story, from the beginning, when the invoices are created by the contractors and submitted, that's what we want to look at. Okay? Line by line. So, Chris, when you do return my call and we get together, I'm looking forward to it. That's the kind of stuff I'm going to ask you to see. All right, that's enough of that. All right, I'm telling you, big stories coming. Bigger than, like Bernie, you always said, no, I mean it. Like, whoa. Several in the next week. And I'll share them with you, and I'll show you everything I know that I'm allowed to show you. All right, I want to thank, of course, the Unknown Patriot for your support. It means everything to me, and it also means everything to me for those of you who throw a tip in the tip jar, $5 a month, being a patron of the show. Crowdfunding is really how I do this. Yeah, I really appreciate y'all. It's patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It's anonymous if you want to throw a tip in the tip jar, and it's easy, and you can quit at any time. All right, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and follow because you're not going to believe what I'm going to be telling you soon.